Properly talk about the Jovenel Moise assassination. The president of Haiti got assassinated last night by a very professional and sophisticated assassination program or something major. So Jovenel Moise is going to get assassinated last night. But a lot of people had said that he was this illegal and unconstitutional dictator. He had gone past his presidential term, so he was just, just keep on going, right? He's got the power, and he's just going to hold on to the power, and he's just going to hold on to the power forever and ever. Now, according to Article 134-1 of Haiti's Constitution, the term of the president of Haiti is 5 years, and the term begins and ends on February 7th, following the date of the elections. Well, the elections happened on November 20th, 2016. So, November 2016, Jovenel Moise gets elected. No runoff is needed. There's going to be a runoff election later on in January. Did not need that. He won, overwhelming, just 50-something% of the fucking vote. So, he kicks ass, takes name, wins the presidency in the first round, doesn't even need the second round. That means his term begins on February 7th, 2017. 2017 plus 5 is 2022. That means Jovenel gets to be president until February 7th, 2022, which means he still had 8 months left on his, on his tenure, on his term. So the presidential elections were held on Haiti. These are the elections that he won. So the November 2016 election, Jovenel Moise won. He became the president officially February 7th, 2017. 5 years from February 7th to 2017 is 2022. He still had till next year. He still had to next year. That's according to the Constitution. Now, you might have listened to the media and listened to some asshole that pretends like they know everything, but what you didn't do is you did not read Article 134-1. Read Article 134-1 of Haiti's Constitution. All the laws have to come from the Constitution. So if you're saying anything about the Constitution, but you haven't read the damn thing, you don't know what you're talking about. Go to the original primary source document. Article 134-1 says that the term of the president is 5 years, and it begins and ends on February 7th, following after the date of the elections. After the date of the elections. Now, that is Article 134-1. There is an Article 134-2 that says something a little bit differently, so let's just read this. Article 134-2, the presidential election takes place on the last Sunday of October of the 5th year of the presidential mandate. So the 5th year of the presidential mandate, that would have been this year, right? That would have been the 5th year. So this October, the last Sunday, that's when the election should have been scheduled, for the last Sunday of October of this year. Now, the president-elected enters into his function on February 7th, following the date of his election. In the case where the ballot cannot take place before February 7th, the president-elected enters into his functions immediately after the validation of the ballot, and his mandate is considered to have commenced on February 7th of the year of the election. So you have an election, you have a runoff, and the runoff election goes to March 7th. Okay, and then it takes another week to validate the ballot and to make sure that and then that March 14th. So it takes another, past February 7th, the moment that it's been validated, that's the moment that he becomes the president. So if you waited a month, as soon as you count the votes up and then his vote is the winning vote that crosses the finish line, that's when he becomes the president. If it's after February 7th. This was not after February 7th, 2017. The 2016 elections was before February 7th, 2017. November 20th, 2016 was the day of the election, November 20th, 2016. And so, therefore, Jovenel's presidency would have began February 7th, 2017. His 5-year term would have ended February 7th, 2022. Jovenel Moise is correct when it comes to Article 134-1 and Article 134-2. So Jovenel Moise was right with the first article. Moise was right with Article 134-2. Now, something interesting, there's a runoff election. You got runoff elections in Haiti, but you can't have back-to-back terms. So if Jovenel Moise, he, couldn't have run for president anyways. He has to wait 5 years, and he may only get 2 presidential terms at a maximum, but not back-to-back. So Jovenel Moise could not have ran this year. No way he could have become president. The head of state has term limits. Article 134-3, the president of the republic may not be reelected. He may serve an additional term only after an interval of 5 years. He may in no case run for a third term. So only 2 presidential terms, right? That's fucking perfect. 10 years, that's all you get, motherfucker. And no case run. He can't run for a third term, and he can't have back-to-back terms. So Jovenel Moise, as soon as he established those elections, which probably would have happened in October, would not have been, reelected next year. This is, you know what, maybe the Americans did do it to get the sympathy, because I think that this is going to have the exact opposite effect. This is going to have the exact opposite effect. If you hated Jovenel Moise and thought his dictatorship and constitutional what the fuck ever and this and that, you thought it was all terrible and what have you, if you hated him, then this doesn't, you probably don't think nothing about this. But some people might say, well, shit, now he's a man, now he's a person. You just murdered a fucking person in his home. And I think that if you look at, a lot of assassinations, but I guess you have to be beloved. But if you were beloved, William Justice Goebel, Abraham Lincoln, when they were killed, just celebrations and parades, and people still use their names today. Right after William Justice Goebel was assassinated, the governor of Kentucky, they used his bloody shirt to keep on getting elected over and over again. So this is going to have the reverse effect. This is going to have, you're going to see sympathy for the monarch. And then people that, speak well and good of Jovenel Moise, people will want to remember Jovenel Moise now. You'll see statues, you'll see his name all over the goddamn place. And since he actually, he's only been in there for 4 years, so he could have came back and really just fucking kicked ass and took names in the, next 5 years. He was making trips to Taiwan. He's been, goddamn, making deals all over the fucking place. The November 2016 elections, Jovenel Moise of the Tot Kale Party, the Baldhead Party, came in first place with 56% of the vote. Jovenel Moise secured the presidency without having to compete in a second-round election. In second, third, and fourth place were Jude Celestin with 20%, Jean-Charles Moise with 11%, and then Marzi Narcisi of Fanmi Lavalas with 9%. So Jovenel Moise won with 56% of the vote. Now, that's a shit ton of votes. That's weird that he had no competition. That does make me wonder about this election. People are saying that he was imposed, the imperialist imposed him. So is this the imperialist that killed him to get the sympathy? Now Jovenel Moise is going to be immortal. His neoliberalistic imperialist is just going to be immortalized now, because if this was his enemies or the opposition, you couldn't have gotten more sympathy, for Jovenel Moise. Now you've turned his enemies into lovers of Jovenel Moise. Who is Jovenel Moise? He's that Haitian that became president, and he gave his life. He gave his life for that office, for whatever it is he was working on and whatever he was doing. He was wanting to get electric and water and shit for the people. I saw him driving a tractor and shit. Jovenel Moise was sworn in February 7th, 2017 for a 5-year term, which means February 7th, 2022 is when he would have to step down. He's still got to be president for another 8 years. All that stupid bullshit about him being a dictator and taking power where there was no powers, all that was fucking bullshit. All that was a bunch of bullshit. And you know what? I thought that he was just a dictator running out the clock, just a dictator, he took power, he's there, he's going to keep on taking power forever and ever. But, so the propaganda by the opposition was pretty strong. The propaganda by the opposition was very strong. But I looked into it, I read the Constitution, I see that the date of the election was November 2016. He became the president February 2017, so he gets to be the president until February 2022. So, now, you have, who is going to be his successor? Haiti's constitution, there's 3 branches of government in Haiti, so Haiti's got a constitution, 3 branches of government. They got a lot of, foundational pieces that, I don't know. I have, my heart is in Haiti right now. My heart is in Haiti, so Yeah. For the Haitian people, I hope all the Haitian people are doing okay. And you need to know the truth, and you need to know the facts about this shit. So Jovenel Moise had enemies, and his enemies said that he had gone past his tenure, but he had not. He still had 8 months left on his presidential term. Jovenel Moise was the constitutional and legal president of Haiti, and therefore Ariel, that Ariel fucking guy, that new prime minister guy that he just picked, that's your new prime minister. Okay, Haiti? Jovenel Moise was right. He was right once, twice. Read Article 148. Read Article 149. Read Article, 134. Article 134 says that Jovenel Moise had 8 more months on his presidential term. You just want to do a little fucking protest out in the streets, and then you want to see your president just fucking walk, well, they protested me, I guess I gotta leave. No, that's stupid. That's dumb. And yeah, so who's gonna succeed? Who's gonna